We want to continue with this and kind of reemphasize its importance. And then, of course, get some very clear action steps and clarity about how to make the changes in our own parenting, in our own families, because that's what it's all about. And as I mentioned last time, it can be kind of a painful topic, right? Because I know it was for me. The topic is parental immaturity, right? Because we often think as parents, as being the adults, that we are the mature ones. The stories I shared of my own journey of thinking, oh, actually, I don't have enough maturity. And that is what's contributing to the problems as opposed to just my child's own immaturity. Because yes, children are immature. That's the nature of being a child. But we often want to solve our problems by requiring our children to become more mature when actually the real answer is that we have to become even more mature in order to lead out in that maturity for our children, right? I think it's a part of all of our journeys because, yes, we can and have learned to be responsible in so many ways. But when it comes right down to it, it's the emotional maturity that makes the biggest difference for our kids and, of course, made the biggest difference for us as children. Like that was the thing that affected us the most. And that's the thing that also affects our children the most. So, in many ways, it does come back to that emotional maturity and that ability to not only for ourselves handle those big emotions, but be there for our children to handle them and model for them how to handle and move through them. That, like, if I could summarize it, that is the thing that makes the difference, the most difference in creating the extraordinary type family culture we want. It's that emotional maturity that makes a huge, huge difference. Because as Greg was talking about the other day in our family devotional, the essence of life is emotions and feelings. And the better our emotions, the better our feelings, the more often we can have feelings of positive feelings of joy and happiness and peace, the better our life is going to be. And on the flip side, the more often we can move through negative emotion and recover from negative emotion, the better our life will be. We will have a better life experience when we have a better emotional experience. How do we become more aware of our immaturity and irresponsibility? Fantastic. That leads perfectly into what I'm going to talk about.
As we learn to recognize and then model responsibility in ourselves, the ability to respond, we're also going to teach it to our children. So then if we have a moody child or a kid who tends to see things in a negative light, we start implementing these same strategies and just constantly repeating it in a positive tone so that it starts to sink in. And eventually you shift the tide and the kid now starts, well, you and your children, we start to improve our response ability. So I just want to share a couple of thoughts. It's like, how do we become aware of our own immaturity and responsibility? It, the first place is just start asking yourselves, like, when do I tend to overreact?
Well,
When do I tend to respond not as my best self? When you look back and you're like, yeah, that wasn't my best moment. And when you start noticing those, you also start noticing patterns. And that got brought up too, is like, well, yeah, have you guys ever read that funny little prayer where it's like saying, Lord, I've had such a great day and I haven't done anything wrong today. It's just been amazing. I haven't gotten upset, yelled at the kids. I've just been great. But in a minute, I'm going to get out of bed and have to face my children and the world. And I'm really going to need your help. Right. And so it's just a funny little reminder of like, well, yeah, I am so calm and just so in control of things unless I have to interact with other people. And then at that moment, I lose it. Right. Or whatever it is. You're like, I'm good. If kids break things, as long as it's under $50, I'm okay. But once it's above that, it's all bets are off or whatever it is. Right. It's like, is it when I'm hungry? Is it when I'm tired?
well, and I have a bunch of questions, but I want to really quick go through this part right here as kind of a we did it already a little bit. I want to do a little bit more to remind us of why this is important. But also, like, we need this emotional maturity. And I'm saying this, I'm talking about we, because in many, at least one aspect, sometimes many, we are all guilty of some level of immaturity. That's just the nature of being human, right? None of us are perfect. We can all do better. So it's kind of like we all need more maturity. But the reason why is because when we have more, specifically emotional maturity, our children are going to feel more emotionally safe. They are going to be more prepared to handle the negative emotions of life. Like, they're going to have the skills because we have the skills, right? Part of the answer, and this is what I think of every time. You're like, what book can help with my 8-year-old being moody or having negative emotions? And I'm like, chances are there's probably someone in your life or some area of your life. This is the pain point of being a parent, right? Where I'm being moody or negative, and my child is picking that up from me and exaggerating it. We often think, well, no, it's not connected. I don't do that. But they're looking at what you
The
do do.
spouse, of course. It's your partner.
Yeah, it's their fault. They're looking at what you do do, and then they're interpreting it in their own way. It's like an interpretive dance, right? So they're taking it and modeling it and exaggerating it. So my answer is always, okay, well, how do I be less moody and less negative? And then when I learn that, I literally have the ability to communicate that to my child because I have walked that path. Does that make sense? When we gain the skills, we can now pass those skills on to our kids because we know how to do it. We have learned it and have. Now, there is, of course, a level of where we've learned something and now we have to learn how to teach it. That's a thing too. But so my answer is all, well, find the book that helps you and then you use the words to help your child, right?
Or maybe you are really good at something already. You need to figure out how you got there.
Right.
Or
Exactly.
as you're figuring it out, it's like, wait a minute, how can I articulate this to a child at each age? Let's say you're figuring something out and you have an 11-year-old that needs to learn it. You got to sit down and say, okay, well, what am I doing? What are the steps? What am I saying? What am I doing? Like what pattern is here that I can share with my child to help them reproduce the results that are working for me?
Even something as simple as I'm taking a pause and taking a breath, and then that's what I start teaching my child. The first step. Okay, take a breath. And I even like do it with them. I'm like, take a breath, And that's the beginning of teaching them how to do this, how to overcome the moodiness, how to overcome the negativity is by, just like we used the driving analogy last time. You're breaking it down into small steps. When we learn how to drive, we have to learn all the steps separate, and then we put them together and it's like a flow. You're reversing that process as you teach it to your child. It's like, oh, what am I doing? I'm pausing. I'm taking a breath. I'm asking myself a question, right? And then you share that with your child in a way they can, okay, take a breath. All right, let's figure out. Let's name the emotion. What am I feeling right now? Are you feeling frustrated? Are you feeling angry? Are you feeling taken advantage of? Naming that emotion helps them identify what it is so they feel it. Whenever we name an emotion, it helps us feel more power. Like, oh, okay, I know what this is. So now I can handle this, right? Once I name it, it helps me handle it. So it's breaking up the process into those smaller steps that our children can understand and begin to apply. Instead of immediately retreating to self-regulate and process big emotions, we should practice self-regulation and narrating the process as we go so they get a demo. Absolutely. If you can
If you could
handle
do
that.
it well.
If you're not sure
If you're losing
yet,
your bananas right in front of your kids, you're like, I need a minute, and then I'll tell you what I did.
yes. But that is at the point I am at. That is what I do. I literally self-regulate and narrate out loud what I am doing. So that's beautiful.